Hey, what's up guys, it's Oakley, and CA just released the Empire roster, so let's go over this. So they say basically that this army is going to be made up of a variety of kind of weak units with stronger, for instance, artillery to back that up, so the steam tank and artillery, and then mage support to back that up. You also have a fairly good selection of knights who will help add a bit to your army, but that overall you're kind of squishy, and so your role as the Empire is to be adaptable, to work with good coordination to keep all your units alive. They say of all the races, the Empire is going to play most similarly to previous Total War factions because, obviously they are humans. And then of that, you have distinctly human concerns, the elector counts to deal with for diplomacy, and then initial threats that you're going to have to face as you're the front lines of the realms of men, they say, where you're going to be facing against Chaos Warriors and incursions from the frozen northern regions. So that is it for the overview. As for the full unit roster, they start off with the 2 legendary lords announced so far. More will probably join us with DLC, but the 2 are going to be Emperor Karl Franz and Balthazar Gelt. Karl Franz has what is called a Heir of Sigmar faction-wide trait that reduces the cost of infantry and probably makes it easier to recruit armies. And then Balthazar has this thing called the Wheel of Magic, which again reduces the cost of magical buildings and probably improves the quality of mages and other magical forces that you bring out to the battlefield. So, you're not only choosing which type of lord you want to have, but also, what type of army benefits you're going to be having down the road. So important choices up front. Distinct in each of their own ways. So I like that you had flavor, and of course we're going to have to wait for DLC, which is unfortunate, to have more legendary lords that will spice it out differently. Now for the lords and heroes. So lords, what they've announced right here is the general of the Empire. So interesting to hear that it's only going to be generals, nothing else besides that at the lord rank. Below that you're going to have heroes. That's going to be captains, warrior priests, witch hunters, celestial wizards, and light wizards. So that's cool to see. I like that they have the captain in there who's just melee, but I'm sure he'll have some morale boosting capabilities. The warrior priest, we've seen a spotlight on him before. He's a mix of melee and caster. Witch hunter, I really want to see him in battle, see how he does. You can imagine he's going to be running around with those 2 pistols, kind of sniping enemy units, dealing good damage from there. And then the celestial wizard and the light wizard, they're representing 2 different lores. So it's going to be the lore of the heavens and the lore of light. Cool to see that they're going to be representing the various different lores, but I'm surprised they're limiting it to 2 at the time of this release. Again, every time I see something that's missing from the tabletop, makes me wonder if we're going to see it in DLC. For the mounts, Deathclaw, which is reserved for Karl Franz only. You then get to choose from warhorses, barded warhorses, Imperial Pegasus, and then the Imperial Griffin. Now, because they're saying Deathclaw is for Karl Franz only, what this seems to indicate is these are mounts that you can then equip to just about any of your lords and heroes, I believe, is the way it was explained. So you can equip that to your heroes or characters once you unlock them, except for Deathclaw, which they say here is exclusive. But cool to see that you may be able to give some of your generals griffins and war horses and other things like that. I assume the Pegasus and Griffin is going to be higher tier. In the background, you can see some of the artwork that they did. Melee infantry, you're going to have halberdiers, so you can see those in the screenshot here. We've seen those predominantly in most of the videos. Spearmen, which we haven't seen so far, but those guys are pretty standard. I grabbed an image here, which I think is halberdiers, but could be spearmen as well. Didn't get a great shot. You also have swordsmen, which we've seen before, and then spearmen equipped with shields, and then the great swords. So relatively run-of-the-mill infantry here. I was hoping to see a little bit more in terms of variety and difference. Hopefully trying to represent the different elector counts, and it's a little worrisome that the melee infantry is so basic right here. I do hope you get more functionality in terms of upgrading them with armories and smiths and stuff like that. For missile infantry, again, it does seem kind of limited. We have crossbowmen and handgunners. Haven't seen the crossbowmen yet, I don't think, but we did see the handgunners in a couple of images, videos, and whatnot. So another thing I think we're missing, though, is going to be these Empire bowmen. I was surprised to not see those included in the missile infantry. Seems rather limited. These guys here, are able to field some bowmen. It could be due to balance, but again, it's worrisome that these aren't fleshed out. For the cavalry, really only 3 melee cavalry. The basic one is going to be the Reichsguard, shown in the back, which is pretty heavily armored. I was expecting them to put some more low-tier melee cavalry there. apparently not. And then monstrous cavalry is going to be the Demigryph Knights and the Demigryph Knights with halberds, which we've again seen before, and there was a spotlight on that. So, I'm not trying to degrade or diminish how awesome the units they have are. They're awesome, but I was expecting, honestly, to see more of this. Missile cavalry, we have decent variety. Pistoliers shown in the back, and then what's called outriders, and then outriders with grenade launchers. So we haven't seen the grenade launcher wielding guys before. I did some research online, and these guys are pretty badass. So definitely the Empire is going to be squishy, being that we're just flesh bags, considering we're fighting Chaos Warriors and all that. So we definitely need units that pack a punch, and I'm glad to see, heavily armored knights and grenade launcher wielding cavalry to try and even the balance on the playing field. So that'll be interesting to see. I really hope they do bring a bit more diversity. These units themselves are pretty cool. And this is going to be kind of the meat of the killing power for the Empire forces. It's going to be in the vehicles and artillery. So vehicles, Luminarch of Hysh or Hish, seen in the background there. And then the steam tank, we've seen those in battle. The Luminarch does shoot out a beam, sort of a targeted weapon. Excellent for killing enemy monsters. The steam tank is pretty good all around, very beefy units. Then you have the Great Cannon that I've shown in the background, the Hellblaster volley gun, which we've also seen, and then finally the Hellstorm rocket battery, which I'm not sure if we've seen that before. I did a little bit of just research to see what it looked like on the tabletop, and this thing looks beastly, looking very, very cool. So good to see Empire is going to pack a punch. I do, again, hope that all of these can be buffed and upgraded to have more visible impact for differentiation. Upgrading armor, infusing them with magic to perhaps do more damage, all sorts of things like that. And I hope veterancy is going to be the case. So that's going to be it for the Empire roster. Again, I think my final takeaways for this is that it looks great. I like the detail that they're bringing to it. So far, so good. But I really, really, really do hope that they bring more diversity to these guys. Especially for the elector counts, I hope that we see more representation of that. And because it's not here, my assumption is it's going to be DLC, so that has me worried. But again, can't speculate too much. This is going to be it for this video. Stay tuned for more. See you in the next one. Peace out.